The spiritual path can often feel like a battlefield. The ego thought system in our mind, which is basically the belief that we've separated from God, it has all these false beliefs like, I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, I am lacking. And when our mind believes these beliefs, we can find ourselves in a very dark place. We can end up playing out old victim identities, childhood traumas, and even old past life traumas. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a very powerful 3-step process. It's kind of like a 3-layer spiritual armor that you can go into the spiritual battlefield with and come out victoriously. It'll allow you to move through those heavy blockages of the ego darkness and that feeling of possession, ego possession. And I'll also share with you an example of how I've used this process to help me move through these ego blockages, and it's helped me many, many times. Several days ago, I found my mind in a very dark place where I was feeling all these heavy emotions coming up around family and childhood, and generally feeling powerless and voiceless. It was a lot of confused energy because it felt like it was mixing up with other people's thoughts and emotions and beliefs that no longer served me. So my first step in this situation was to first empty my cup. My cup was basically filled with dirt and darkness, and it felt so heavy. And the first thing was to empty that cup. So the first step is to go within, shut the door, close your eyes, and sit in meditation, contemplation. And the reason for this, to go within, is that the ego usually has an outside grievance. It wants to go outside. It's found some cause to fight with in the outside world, and it wants to fix it so that it can be happy. Or that's at least what it tells you. And in this state of mind, this very disturbed, negative state of mind, it tries to find solutions, things to engage with in the outside world, things to read, things to talk about, people to talk with. And it's matching that lower vibration, that negative vibration. So it's actually going to make you feel worse. So the first step is to go within, sit with yourself. And I noticed as I did this for some time, instead of, as I was first identified with the dark, heavy emotions, I started to identify now with the observer of those emotions. And once that started to happen, those feelings started to surrender. That heaviness, that heavy field of energy just started to dissipate. And I started to feel very peaceful. It was as if my cup of dirt had just been emptied out and cleaned out. I could finally breathe and I felt peaceful. So that's step 1. Sit in silence with yourself, close your eyes, shut the door to the world, go within, meditate. Just be with yourself. The next step is to fill yourself up with something inspirational, filled with spiritual wisdom, faith, devotion, in the form of prayer, you could say, or reading spiritual texts, scriptures of any kind, anything that lifts you up and fills up your spirit. And by listening to or reading these uplifting words, it just feels like your newly emptied cup, your newly cleaned out cup is now being filled with this beautiful aromatic tea made of purified water and minerals and medicines, all to heal you, to uplift you and make you feel inspired. So this is the second step, is to fill yourself up with wisdom and inspiration. The way I did this was to listen to spiritual talks, and also to sing. It allowed me to fill myself up. And the last step, sharing and being of service to others. At this point, I felt like sharing this new high vibrational energy and wisdom with others in some way. I didn't know exactly how to do it, but you'll start to feel guidance. It could be writing inspiring words on social media and just sharing it out. Or it could even be calling a friend and encouraging them in some way. This newly filled cup wants to be shared with others so that others can drink from that wisdom, from this cleaned and purified space, so that it will serve as healing to others. So what a transformation that was within a couple of hours. I went from being in a heavy, dark place in my mind to being totally at peace and totally inspired to share my spiritual gifts with the world. I call this process spiritual alchemy. This is transforming the darkness into the light. In fact, right now, I am sharing from that very same place of being inspired after being cleaned from the inside out. So let's go over once again the 3 steps or pillars to spiritual alchemy and transformation to build this spiritual armor in you. The first step is meditation. Prayer, contemplation, sitting in silence. Just go within. Drop all the outside stories, all the outside causes that the ego tells you is the problem. Just observe what's going on within you. After you do this for some time, you start to identify with the observer of the darkness. There's some distance, and this starts to clear the cup and empties out all of that darkness. The second step is filling up yourself with faith and devotion and wisdom to uplift your thoughts to God. We are essentially counteracting those ego thoughts and beliefs with the new beliefs that will fill you up with spiritual wisdom and insights and increase your love for God, pointing your attention towards Him and away from the false ego thought system. And the third step or pillar is selfless service to others. After you feel inspired with that wisdom, you might receive inner guidance on how to share these spiritual merits with others. How can you serve where God works through you to help and heal others through your wisdom? So these 3 pillars, they essentially work together, and it's not necessarily that it needs to go in the order of meditation, devotion, and service, but usually this is a very effective order to go in. So I encourage you to give this 3-step process a try, and please share your experience in the comments below. As you practice it each time, you will get better and better in terms of your ability to transmute that ego darkness into spiritual wisdom and the light of God, and to share that with the world. You are not meant to live in ego darkness forever. This is a choice that you can make, that you are going to step out of those old ego patterns and darkness into the light. Awaken your light. I hope this video has helped you.